Hey everyone, this is Tom from PIX4D, and I'm going to show you how to get a Plant 3D CAD file into PIX4D Cloud as an IFC file. In order to do that, we need to clean this drawing up, we need to set the units in scale appropriately, and we need to geolocate this drawing. Okay, let's get started with cleaning this up. So first thing we're going to do is check the XREFs here. So let's type XREF. And we can see we have a bunch of models that are not loaded here. We're just going to assume for this example that these are not needed, and we're going to remove these from the model. Really, you want to only leave the stuff that you want to feature in PIX4Dcloud in this file. Here we have point cloud. We'll get to that a little bit later. Here we have a drawing that is loaded, and here we're going to detach this one. Okay, back to this one that is loaded right here. What we need to do is we need to bind this into this drawing. So bind it as an insert, so make it a block. Okay, so now we can see the point cloud's still there, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And you can see we have our block in the drawing right now. So right now I'm going to explode this. And now we have our individual components of this drawing. Okay, so next let's step into our layers. There we go. Okay, so we want to make sure that all of our layers are thawed. So we'll select all, make sure they're all unlocked, and then we'll make sure they are all on as well. We want to make sure, again, we just want what we want to, the things we want to focus on in our drawing here. Okay, so let's take a top-down view here. You can see we have a bunch of stuff out here. I've already taken a look at this, so I know this is not necessary for what we're trying to do. Get rid of all that stuff, get rid of this grid out here. And this is actually that point cloud, so we can delete that. And now we can go back into our XREF and we can detach that. Okay, so now we have a clean drawing. All of our layers are on. All the XREFs are bound or removed from the drawing. We have all the erroneous stuff from this drawing that we don't want to display in PIX4Dcloud removed. Now we move on to the units and scale portion of this. So to get started with the units and scale, first thing we're going to look at is you can see our compass rose up here is upside down and we're facing back even though we're kind of facing the top. So this tells me that our UCS, our Universal Coordinate System in AutoCAD here is off. So or it's been modified. So we'll type in UCS. We'll hit W for world. And that should reset it. So now we're looking at the top here. And we'll give this a little bit of a spin. So north is up. Okay, so there we go. Now we're looking at the top and north is up. I encourage you to check this fairly often. I've had a couple times where it seems to have reset on me, either when I undid something or just kind of unexpectedly ended up being twisted again. So make sure this is facing, you are looking at top and north is facing up. Otherwise, you will have problems. It will snap to wrong coordinates and things will not line up. Okay, so now that the UCS has been taken care of, we can start talking about the units and changing those around. So let's type in units. And you can see that we're in architectural scale right now. In architectural scale, you have feet and inches, and 1 unit equals 1 inch. In surveying and civil engineering, and in most geodetic types of things, we have 1 foot, and then we use tenths of a foot, and 1 unit is equal to 1 foot. So we're going to change this to decimal. Don't change this to engineering. That still uses inches for some reason, but change that to decimal. And then we're going to change our insertion scale here to US survey feet. If we're working in a different unit or different system, you can use feet or meters, whatever you need here, but we are working in a state plane coordinate system, which is in US survey feet. So this is the units that our coordinate system in PIX4D is in. So US survey feet right here. Hit OK. So now our units are set. Now let's come in here and do a quick distance measurement. Go from that column line to this column line, 120 feet. Doesn't seem right. So let's scale this. So that means this is still in architectural scale. We changed the units of our drawing, but the model itself is still in architectural scale. So we're going to scale this. Scale. We'll just pick a midpoint in the middle, and we'll scale this by 1 divided by 12. Okay, let's measure that again. There, 2 right there, 10 feet, much more reasonable. Okay, so we have a clean drawing. We have a drawing where the units are set appropriately, and we have a model that is scaled to the proper scale here, where 1 unit equals 1 foot. Now we can worry about georeferencing that, and then we're going to step over to PIX4Dcloud for the first step in that. Okay, here we are in PIX4Dcloud. This is just a random model that I picked that I had. And what we're going to do here is we're going to draw a line that represents where we want this model to be, or where we want a specific point on this model to be. So I'm just going to draw a line coming back here, about 120 feet or so. Sometimes I like to give just a little bit of a line at the front as well, so I know where the front of what I want to be is. And now we're going to come over and we're going to export these annotations as a DXF file. DXF is a generic CAD file importable into just about any CAD program. So we'll export those. We'll save those right there. Okay, now we'll go back over into Plant 3D. Okay, now we're back over in Plant 3D, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert that DXF file that we just downloaded from PIX4Dcloud. Select that file here. Here's our DXF file. If you don't see it, just make sure you select DXF down here. Okay, now you notice I have insertion point checked, so we can specify that. I also checked explode because that's something we want to do anyways. So we're going to insert this at 0, 0, 0. Say enter. Okay. And now when we zoom extents, we should have something way out here in space. There it is, right there. Okay. So this is where our model should be. We can see that this little line here is a front. So we can get rid of that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from this endpoint right here. Turn off ortho. Okay. And now we're going to zoom way out here. Find our model way down here. Okay, so we're going to put this endpoint at a point where we want the front of our model, that exact same spot. It's important we click someplace on the model, otherwise elevations will be messed up, because if I click just like right here in the middle, the elevation is going to be 0 and it's not going to work right. So we want to make sure that we click on the spot right there, point right there. So if we click on this line, we can see our beginning and end points and that we have elevations on both of those. So now we're going to do a pretty simple move of this model from, we're going to snap right here, pull right here, select all those, move, we're going to select this endpoint and we're going to move it to this endpoint up here. Okay, so now we zoom in here and we can see our model has been moved. We'll delete that line, we don't need that anymore. Now we just need to rotate it to the proper orientation. So we will select our model here. And we'll do rotate. We'll rotate from that endpoint. You can eye this if you want, but I'm going to do a reference here. So I'm going to do a reference point from right there. Let's say over to here. And we'll snap it right to there. Okay, so now we have our model here. It is clean, it is scaled properly, and it is geolocated. If you have the IFC exporter plugin for Plant 3D, you can export it right here, right now, to an IFC file, and it should come directly into PIX4Dcloud. I don't have that particular plugin right now, so I'm going to jump over to Civil 3D. I'm going to convert this to an IFC file there, and then we'll show you how we're going to pull this into PIX4D Cloud. Okay, here I am in Civil 3D. I did save that file in Plant 3D as with a geotag on it, just to separate it as its own drawing here. So here we are in the model. I have it open. If we want to orbit around this, we can. You can see our UCS is still correct over here with top. And we can see when we look at our coordinate thing down here on the bottom, we can see just we're in the proper coordinates. Do a quick distance check from right here to right here, 10 feet, great. Okay, now we're just gonna export this as an IFC file, export IFC. We're just gonna put in a project number, it's required in there. We have our IFC file name here. We can look at some options if we want here and see what is being included in this. Just going to use everything default. And you can see that a few more options here. And I'm just going to hit export. This can take just a little bit depending on the size of your model. Okay, here we are back in PIX4Dcloud. Civil 3D successfully exported that IFC file. So we're going to click on Files and Reports up top. Scroll down to IFC model and upload. We'll pick our IFC model, hit OK, and this will upload pretty quick. We'll go back to our view. 3D. IFCs were only visible in 3D view. And let's turn it on and see where it is. There it is. There is our model, right where we anticipated it. We picked that front end as our elevation right there. So that is our elevation that was held for this. If you have PIX4D Catch Pro, you can go out and view this in augmented reality if you have RTK. And you can send this to anyone you want by using the share buttons up here. You can either allow them to draw on this and it'll save, or you can just let them view it and measure it by copying this URL and sending it to them. They don't need any sort of specific PIX4D account or anything, just send them this. And you can turn this off whenever you want. Thanks for watching. I hope that helps some of you out there, and talk to you soon.